Hey, I'm Mark Romanak. The Fishing 401 crew traveled all the way to southwest Wisconsin this week to sample a little bit of their Lake Michigan fishery. Just getting set up. So stick around and see what Fishing 401's got in store for you today. Ooh, this is a good fish. I love this. This is exactly how you shake the cobwebs out of winter. For most people in the Great Lakes region, the first time they're going to get a chance to fish in the spring is probably going to be chasing something called brown trout, and that's what we're after today. This fish is staying down really nice, Jake.
Got the net
Oh,
for it.
what a beautiful fish.
It's a gorgeous fish, Dad.
What a beautiful fish.
That is a stud.
Oh, man.
Wow, Dad.
That just got my heart pounding right there, I'm telling you. Let's see if we can get this guy up here for you.
Oh, he's got it.
Hold up, I'm sorry, I'll get him.
That's a big fish, Dad.
This is a good way to start the day, that's for sure. Okay, here you go, Jakers.
There we go.
Oh.
Got him in the net, Dad.
Man.
What a stud.
I'm 57 years old and my heart is just pounding out of my chest. This is cool. Let me show you what we got. Now that's what I'm talking about. That is a beautiful Lake Michigan brown trout. A little bit bigger probably than the average fisher. Most of the fish are going to be in that 5 to 8 pound class, and this is clearly bigger than that. But this is not as big as they get. They actually catch fish in the 20 pound class here pretty commonly, and you have an outside chance at 130 pounds. Imagine a 30 pound brown trout. Wow, beautiful, beautiful fish. What a great start. This one's gonna go on my grill back home. Wow. I'll take one of those every morning. That first fish came on a bait called a maglip, and we're particularly excited about these lures. They're a wide wobbling bait. They have a lot of action, and you might have noticed that that fish just literally engulfed it. They T-bone these lures, and I think the reason why trout and salmon hit these so hard is because they have something called a skip beat action. Well, what is a skip beat action? The bait's wobbling like this, and then all of a sudden it'll just dart to the side and then regain its natural action again. That darting action is what triggers strikes. It's something called a skip beat action. And typically, instead of these fish coming in hooked on the back hook, you see a lot of fish hooked on the front hook. They literally T-bone these baits, and that's a beautiful thing in fishing. I'm gonna clean this bait up a little bit. A lot of blood on it. And of course I put some Procure on there, so I want to rinse that Procure off and put some fresh Procure on there. This is a new soap that the Procure came out with called Badass Hand Soap, AZZ. I'm not swearing on television. Anyway, the beauty of this stuff is that you don't need water for it. So essentially all you're going to do, it's kind of like hand sanitizer. I can just take the stuff like this in my hands and then it's going to dry right up and it goes away. That's a beautiful thing. So now what I got to do is drop a little bit more Procure on here, put her in the water, and see if we can't find us another brown trout just like that first one.
You know, if you've watched Fishing 411 in the past, you know that one of our favorite crankbaits to use is the Maglet from Yakima Bait Company. And the reason is because it catches a ton of fish. And we're brown trout fishing today. We've caught a lot of fish with the Maglet, but I'm telling you, just the Maglet alone is not what catches these fish for us. We have to know how much feet we got to put line out to determine how deep it is in the water column. And we use that with the Precision Trolling Data app. I keep my phone right here on the console of my boat so I can use it very easily whenever I want. When I open the app up, I can determine how many feet of line it takes to get that lure to a certain depth. A lot of these fish that we've caught today have been right on bottom or very close to bottom. So what we're doing, you know, if I'm in 20 feet of water, what I can do is I can put on the app until I'm in 20 feet. It tells me how many feet of line out, 137 feet of line out to be exact. So I let it out to that depth, and I can be right above bottom or right at bottom where these brown trout like to be. Again, it's called the Precision Trolling app, and it's something that we use every single day on the water.
You know, historically, living in Michigan, we've chased brown trout along the Lake Michigan shoreline on our side of the lake, and historically we've caught a lot of fish there. But in recent years, our Department of Natural Resources hasn't really been stocking very many brown trout. Meanwhile, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources stocks tons of brown trout, so guess where the better fishing is? The Wisconsin side of Lake Michigan is full of brown trout from Sheboygan all the way down to Racine.
Special considerations provided by Trailmaster Trailers, quality custom boat trailers. Additional considerations provided by ProCure, ruthlessly effective bait suds.
As I'm resetting this line, there's some details about brown trout fishing that I think are important. We're using relatively light line. When you talk about Great Lakes trout and salmon fishing, most people are using 17, 20-pound test line, or in some cases even heavier. We're actually using 10-pound test line. And the lighter line, we believe, gets us more bites on these brown trout, but there is a problem associated with it. These are big fish, and any abrasion in the line whatsoever is going to cause that line to fail. And so we have to cut and retie often. Every fish or every other fish, we're tying the snap back on again because there gets to be little abrasions in the line down near the snap. If you don't pay attention to those little details, you're going to get a big brown trout right to the boat, and he's going to break you off and break your heart in the same place. So retie often when you're using this light line, and light line will help you catch more fish.
Yeah, we got one on the outside board here.
Good deal. Get some stuff out of the way here.
I set that clicker nice and light and hear that board go back. I love it. I love it. Been very much just a slow pick this morning. When we're talking about the size of the brown trout that you get in this Milwaukee area, it's worth the wait, because you know at any second when that board goes back, it could be a fish of a lifetime. Now, I don't think this one is a fish of a lifetime, but still a quality fish.
I'll drop a waypoint here just to be on the safe side. How's that sound?
Sounds good, Dad. You know, one of the most important things that we do when it comes to planer board fishing that I believe is releasing our planer boards. It makes so much easier fishing multiple lines aside. Now this fish came on the outside board and it hit hard enough that it literally released the board. That front clip released right off of it and it swang right to the back of the boat. I didn't have to bring any of my inside boards in, and I can bring this fish right up through the belly of the boat, not having to clear another line. I'm not changing my speed, I'm not changing anything. What that allows is it allows all of our rods to be doing the same thing. We haven't changed our speed, we haven't changed anything, so there's a good chance, since we caught this one, we very well might catch another one.
I'm going to get that board off here for you, Jakers. As Jake is talking about, you can see when the board comes in here, it's coming in backwards. It's still attached to the line by this OR16 clip at the back of the board. All I have to do is take it off real quick, and now it's just jaking the fish. But keeping the board pinned to the line but released allows you to stack 2 or 3 boards aside, no problem. You can clear, well, you know, you don't have to clear lines in order to fight fish, and that's a beautiful thing in open water trolling. What kind of quality fish you got there, Jake?
Well, it doesn't feel like a huge one, Dad, but in this cold water, you never really know.
Yeah. When we were pre-fishing, one of the browns we had, got it all the way to the boat, and it never hardly fought at all, and then it got to the boat, and then it went crazy. And maybe that's what's going to happen here.
It's staying down nice.
Staying down real nice.
Oh, it's a nice fish.
Well, that's a quality fish.
Yeah. See, he saw the boat. He did not want that. You never know with brown trout, though, man. They wake up, and it's hard to turn them.
God, they're beautiful
What
fish.
a gorgeous fish.
Wisconsin actually stocks 2 strains of brown trout here. All these are stocked fish, by the way. Brown trout don't naturally reproduce very well here in the Great Lakes, but they have sea forella and they have wild rose. And this one looks like a sea forella to me. It's really silvery, and actually looks more like a salmon than it looks like a brown trout. The markings are really indistinctive.
All right, couple more reel handles, Dad, and I think we got this one licked.
Flip him up. Got him, buddy.
Woo! Wasn't pretty, you got in the deadline there at the end, but we got him.
I tell you what, that's a big fish. He's gonna go wherever he wants to go. I think you underestimated that fish. That's a lot bigger than you thought it was.
Oh, let's get this one out of there. Man, that fish just bulldogged it right to the boat. I had no idea that this fish was this size until he saw the boat. Man, then he freaked right out. I don't know if you can see behind my shoulder there, but we are fishing some classic springtime brown trout waters right now. If you look at the shoreline of Lake Michigan, there's endless possibilities for catching these fish right here, but we can kind of take that area and make it a lot smaller because we're looking for the warmest available water. And that power plant behind me has a warm water discharge, and that discharge kicks out 2, maybe 3 degree warmer temperatures, and that's where these brown trout like to be in the springtime. So we can take all of this water, combine it into one little area, and we can catch big fish like this one right here.
You know, if a guy wants to come to the Milwaukee area and chase brown trout, April is clearly the prime month, but I believe you can catch these fish outside of that April window. I think you can catch them into May, and in fact, I think you can even catch them into June. You might have to fish a little deeper than what you find them in April or in May, but these trout are homebodies. They live right here, they're stocked right here, and they can be caught year-round by a diligent angler who's looking for them and finding them.
The cool thing about this warm water discharge area is, you know, this time in the spring when you get this warmer water, you really don't know what you're gonna catch. Everything, all different kinds of species pile up around this warmer water. And the amount of brown trout that they stock here in Milwaukee is unbelievable. And because of that, it makes for a great fishery. These fish don't naturally reproduce very well. So when we're putting them in the system and stocking them, it puts a lot of fish for us anglers to be able to come out here and catch. It's another nice one, Dad.
Nice fish, Jake. Oh, it's a jumper.
Not as big, but still a very nice
man,
fish.
I don't know, that's a beautiful fish. Look at that. That's more typical. We've been catching larger fish than on average. That's a typical fish right there. See if they'll swim right out of that landing net. Look at that.
Have you ever heard the term football when it comes to brown trout? I think that one fits the bill, Dad.
Yeah.
Short, stocky, fat, fought all the way to the boat. These fish are so much fun, a great way to knock the dust off in the springtime and watch our offshore boards go back.
Special considerations provided by Bait Rigs Tackle, America's innovator of fine fishing products. Additional considerations provided by the Ultimate Sports Show Tour, Michigan's premier sports shows.
Well, I got in my hand here a mag lip that's caught a lot of fish, and it's taken some abuse. You can see that it's literally got some of the paint worn off from it, and more importantly, the hooks are taking a lot of abuse. The back treble hook here, the round bend treble that came on at factory standard, one of the hooks is busted off, and the other hook is in pretty bad shape. It's bent out of shape, and it's been rebent several times. So at this point in time, it's really in our best interest to get rid of these hooks and replace them. If you're going to go to the trouble to switch out your hooks, in our opinion, you want to put a premium hook on. In our case, we think the best hook, the sharpest hook that you can get, is an Eagle Call product called the Trocar. Trocars are surgically sharp, and I mean they are sticky sharp. They'll cut you sharp. Sharp hooks catch fish, there's no doubt about that. And one last thing about replacing treble hooks, when you take a treble hook off from an existing crankbait and put a new one on, you pretty much want to replace that hook with the same size. Some guys will tell you that you can use bigger hooks, and in some cases that's true, but most crankbaits are delicately balanced, and the hooks that come on them are the right size for those lures. So in this case, this has a number 4 hook on it. You want to put a number 4 back on it. You don't want to put a bigger number 2. It could destroy the action of that lure.
Dad, I was just reeling in this board because we're gonna go to another spot, and I was literally reeling as fast as I could, and that fish just smacked it. The board ripped back while I had the rod in my hand. Man, that's almost as cool as it gets right there, Dad. Oh, wow.
That might be sending us a message, Jake. We might want to think about bumping our speed up a little bit.
Maybe. I was literally reeling as fast as I could.
Normally we go real slow for these browns in the spring because the water's cold. But the water is a little bit warmer than historically it is this time of year. Normally it's in the 40s, and it's already up into the 50s because we had 0 ice this year, had a very mild winter. So maybe we could bump that speed up a little bit when we reset and see what happens.
Yeah. You know, judging on this fish right here, I don't know how fast I was reeling or how fast it would be, but we're going 1.7, and I was reeling as fast as I could. That fish just smacked it. That fish came right on the edge of some stained water. And a lot of times that's what we look for in brown trout fishing. From the drone footage you're going to see in the video, you're going to see exactly that stained water that we were looking at. And it happens from a lot of different things. Wind can cause that. Right next to us right here, we have a big clay bank. And from what I can see, that clay bank is bringing some of that silt and blowing it right out here into this water. So the warm water makes warmer water brings brown trout. This is a good fish too, Dad.
Oh, that's a very, very good fish. I need to get right in here nice and close. A little bit closer, Jake. Oh, that's what we're looking for right there.
Off in the net.
Man, he is off in the net. He was just lip hooked that time. What a stud fish. I'll tell you what, this is a perfect fish for a live release because he's not bleeding. He's off in the net. Why don't we just hold him up for the camera quick and drop him back? Because we've already got the fish we need for the dinner table.
Yeah, and this is a gorgeous brown trout too. Let's see. Let's get him out of here. Woo-hoo. Oh my goodness, these fish are so pretty, Dad.
This one's got some really, really nice markings on him. Very, very distinctive.
All right, well, we're gonna put this one back right away because he is so fresh. So,
as I reset this line, it's a good time to talk about the responsibilities of trolling. There's a lot going on in a trolling boat, and you really want to share those responsibilities with everybody on board. For example, I'm resetting a line right now. Jake is actually adjusting our point of travel. We have two motors in the water that we're trolling with. We have a kicker motor back here that's providing our propulsion, but we also have an autopilot style electric motor, our XI5 motor guide on the bow. That's steering us, and Jake is making adjustments to the steerage, getting us back on the waypoints where we've actually caught fish. So by teaming up, we can get lines in the water fast as I'm setting them, and Jake is steering the boat directly back to where we just caught a fish. It's a team effort that works very well in putting more fish in the boat.
like my dad was saying, I'm using an electric motor for our directional control. I'm using my XI5 motor guide to do that. But one of the cool things that you can get with your motor guide is something called the gateway system, and it really takes boat control to a whole new level. On the graph here, we have some waypoints of where we've caught some fish, and of course we want to go right back over that exact same water. And with Gateway, it allows me to do that very easily. I can touch one of the waypoints that I want to go to, and then with my menu, all I have to do is push Go to Waypoint. It's going to ask if I want to engage the autopilot mode, and of course, yes I do. Now it's going to take me right to the waypoint. Now, you know, it's a team effort when it comes to trolling, but I know that the directional control is going to be perfect. I can come to the back of the boat and help my dad set rods. It's really just a great system. Again, it's called the Gateway from Motor Guide.
All feel good. First few trips of the year like this, it's so nice to get your string stretched. I love it. I have not laid eyes on this fish yet. When they stay straight down like that, that's usually a good thing. There he is. Oh, looks like a big buck. Oh, it's a lake trout. That's why he was staying down.
Uh-oh.
Hold on here. No. Let me. When you lose a fish in your boat, does it get real quiet in your boat? It gets real quiet in our boat after you lose a fish. I don't know why. You know, that lake trout was going back anyway. We weren't going to keep that lake trout, but I just wanted to put my hands on him. I hate losing fish. Oh well, if you got to lose one, let's lose the lake trout. Get the browns in the boat and shake off the Lakers at the back.
Special considerations provided by Eagle Claw, proudly made in America since 1925. Additional considerations provided by Fishhawk Electronics. Trolling without a fishhawk is called boating.
You know, one of the interesting things I think, at least, about brown trout is that, you know, certainly warm water is a place you're going to find these fish, warmer water. You're going to find them in off-colored water, no doubt. But structure is important too. These fish like to be on the bottom or near the bottom much of the time. They feed on gobies a lot. Of course, gobies are a bottom feeder, you know, a bottom species. And so that's one of the nice things about this Wisconsin coastline is it's got all of these things. It's got this, you know, the warm water from the discharges. It's definitely got the off-colored water here at certain times of the year in certain locations. And on top of all that, it's got great structure.
There you go.
Very good. This guy is dogging it.
Let me grab the net real quick.
He's coming right towards me. I can see him. It's actually a quality fish, but he's coming right towards the boat. Now he's going nuts. Now he's going to go.
That looks a little chrome, Dad.
Uh-oh. Maybe we got a different species here.
I could be wrong, but he looks pretty silver,
didn't he? Yeah, he's looking very silver.
No, it's brown.
Okay, Jake. Where are we going to take this guy at? Let's see if I can get him to come to this side of the boat. Whoa! Now he decides to get lively. Oh, we're going to run into the same problem we had with the lake trout here if I'm not careful. Here he comes.
There we go.
Now I got him where we need him. Nice
go.
job.
That's just a really bright colored one.
A smaller fish. That's the smallest fish I think we've caught today.
Still a good one.
Look at, he's got that old maglip just T-boned in his mouth there. They definitely like these baits. You know, one of the reasons we're running plugs is because they have a dive profile on their own. What I mean by that is that these diving maglip, we can control how deep they're diving simply by controlling the lead length. So we can fish literally the entire water column from the surface all the way down to the bottom. You know, traditionally Great Lakes guys like to do things like spoons and lead core and downriggers, and you can catch them doing that. But this light line stuff that we're doing here is a lot of fun. This is a really enjoyable way to catch these fish. What do we got? Got another one hammering right there.
Got one on the flat
Get
line.
him, Jake.
Oh yeah, we caught up to him. One about the same size as the one you just caught, Dad. Probably a carbon copy of him.
All right, I threw that bait over the side. I'm gonna throw this guy in the live well, and I'll give you a hand here.
Oh, he's splashing behind the boat. This was on the flat line, so he's already right here at the corner.
Whoa!
Airborne.
That's cool. That is cool.
Now that's the one thing about these trout. They seem to be grouped up in pairs. A lot of times what'll end up happening is if you catch one, you'll catch another one, and that's what's so cool about trolling.
A little closer.
There you go,
There
Dad,
he
scoop
is.
him.
There he is.
Just about the same as the last one. That's a nice fish. You can see right here that the fin is clipped. That shows that that's a hatchery fish right there. So this one was raised just for us to catch today. We're gonna put him back so we can catch him next time we come. Woo! Wasn't pretty, but she got back.
It wasn't pretty, but it went back. That's good. I'm very pleased with what we're experiencing here. We might have burned, how much fuel did we burn on the big engine today? Maybe a quart?
Yeah, not very much. The launch is just right there.
So, yeah, it's a definitely an easy place to get to. Look at the color.
Oh, that's a good fish though, Dad.
Wow, they are beautiful, beautiful. We're so blessed here in the Great Lakes to be able to have all the trout and salmon species. Wow. Come on, Papa.
There we go.
It's hard to get him to
Got
steer
him in
the
the
net
net.
when he's hooked for me. Hey, I'm Mark Romanak, and you've been watching Fishing 401. Get a chance to come to the Milwaukee area and check out this brown trout fishing. You'll be glad you did. It's world class.
Closed captioning is provided by Fishhawk Electronics. Fishing 411 is brought to you by Offshore Tackle, Yakima Bait, Starcraft Marine, Jay's Sporting Goods, Cisco Fishing Systems, Smooth Moves, Precision Trolling Data, Niagara Falls, USA, Motor Guide Electric Motors, and Lowrance Electronics.
We get to kick the dust off. We get to go out. It's a small boat fishery. It's close to shore, and we get to catch a lot of these fish right here. Can't think of anything better than watching offshore boards go back and little football brown trouts on the other end.